Thank you, Patty. Good evening. I'm Lillian Hostetter. I am your moderator for this candidate forum, which is sponsored by the Wayzata-Clement Area League of Women Voters. On behalf of members of the League, I welcome you. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose political candidates or parties. The views of the candidates are their own and not those of the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters does not assume responsibility for the contents of the candidate's statements. The sponsorship of the debate is not an endorsement by the sponsor or any candidate. All viable candidates have been invited. This evening's forum is provided to give you the opportunity to learn about the candidates running for Corcoran Mayor and Council. The rules for this evening's forum are as follows. Each candidate will be allowed an opening statement with a maximum of 2 minutes to state his or her experience, platform, and objectives. A 15-second warning signal will be given before the total time has elapsed. A question and answer period will be held following the opening statements. The answers will be confined to 1 minute unless designated by the moderator. Questions shall be answered by the candidates in a rotating order. A 15-second warning will be given to the candidates. The candidates will be given a 2-minute closing statement. Candidates, please finish your sentence quickly when you see the stop sign or you will be interrupted. No reference of a personal nature will be tolerated. A person's public record may be examined, but not their character. These forums are made available to encourage the voting public to, quote, focus on the issues and not personalities. Since the candidates' night is designed to provide a nonpartisan setting for undecided voters to hear all positions, we ask that there be no demonstrations, applause, or booing of support or opposition to the candidates or their positions, and that all candidates be allowed their time in the quote spotlight. At the end of the evening, we will thank all the candidates with our applause. The first forum will be for the Corcoran Mayor. Your candidates are Mr. John Dahl, Ms. Carolyn Holford, and Mr. Ron Thomas. We will begin with Mr. John Dahl to give his introductory remark, going in alphabetical order.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to, first of all, thank the League of Women Voters. I appreciate the time and effort that I'm sure was spent in setting up this question and answer forum. And, we, for the sole purpose of bringing information to the community of Corcoran. And, do I need to increase my voice a little bit?
Yes.
I've never been accused of that before. And I'd also like to thank everyone for showing up tonight. With the turnout, I'm telling you, that sends a sign that there are many people that are concerned about the direction we have been going in the community of Corcoran, and also the direction we will be going in the future. We only have 60 seconds to answer questions, and that's not a lot of time, I understand, because of constraints why we have to do it that way, but I just want to let you know I'll be available outside in the other lobby area afterwards to answer any questions that we didn't get to, or to talk to you about any concerns that you may have. And if we don't get to you tonight, I'd be more than happy to talk to you on the phone or visit you at your residence at your convenience. And again, I'd just like to thank you for showing up tonight, and hopefully we can get to your questions.
Okay, Ms. Carolyn.
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters for this important forum for the citizens of Corcoran. Best wishes to Ken Gunther after 20 years of a member of the City Council and Mayor. Yesterday, I had the privilege of coming back after celebrating my mother's 90th birthday. Being back where I grew up brought back memories. One in particular was during the time of year when people would come to and talk to my parents. And I asked my mom and dad what they were there for, and they replied, candidates for a particular office. To this day, it made such an impression on me that when I first ran for mayor 2 years ago, I went door to door. I could see how that made such a difference in my neighbors and to me. My neighbors were quick to point out that no one had ever done this before. For me, the communication gave me a real perspective and the different needs for each neighborhood has. I strongly believe in the principles of a citizen government. It's transparent. Your participation in city council meetings must be part of the decision, making progress. We will gather together and have a clear understanding of codes and rules appropriate to the topics. If you should entrust me with this great responsibility of strengthening our community, I will work closely with current city council members as well as the newly elected. I am asking for your vote because I want to work with you to accomplish what we all deserve, a government that works for us. As mayor, I will do everything I can for Corcoran and for you.
Thank you, Mr. Montes.
And I also thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum and really, I guess, pleasantly surprised by the great turnout we're having here. A little about me, I grew up in Plymouth and attended Wayzata High School and spent 4 years in the Air Force and then went to the University of Minnesota. In the late 70s, I started my own company and took it public in 1983. Since then, I've been on the board of various local companies, and I'm currently CEO of a small company located in Plymouth. My wife June and I moved to Corcoran on 40 acres where we raised about 25 years ago, we raised our 3 children. And then currently, as of a year ago, we're officially empty nesters. If having goats, sheep, cows, horses, chickens, and 2 cats and a dog, I keep telling myself, my wife, it doesn't feel very empty to me. I've been on the Corcoran City Council for 16 of the last 18 years. And during that time, I've been involved in the revision of 2 comprehensive plans. I've sat on various commissions and task forces, among which are with the open space preservation ordinance, the home occupation ordinance, and most recently we worked on, I was on the task force, we worked on the design guidelines for the new Corcoran downtown, future Corcoran downtown area. I look forward to continuing to volunteer with the city, and especially look forward to the new revision for the comprehensive plan that we're working on over the next 2 years, whether I'm doing that as mayor or as a private citizen. It's exciting times. Thank you.
And before you say anything, I noticed that there are several people who have candidate information with them that they picked up from the candidate table, and we do not like that in the room when we're here. So if you could put that under your seat or put that away, we encourage you to pick that up when you leave. So yes, sir.
Can you please ask Mr. Thomas to move the microphone a little bit closer? His voice is a little tough to pick up in the back.
We might want to take the mic off and pass it. That would be good. Thank you. I'm sorry, Lillian.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go with our first question. The order will be Ms. Holford, followed by Mr. Thomas, followed by Mr. Dahl. The question will be 1 minute long, and it will be the following. What is the biggest problem or challenge that, facing our city?
Well, I think right now I've heard so much about the roads, and there are a lot of things that people need to understand, that not every neighborhood wants the same situation for their roads. And I think it's important that everyone have the right to come together and talk about how they want their roads maintained, whether it's gravel or whether it's paved. And I think it's really something that we can discuss individually by each neighborhood. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas?
Okay, well, I think roads are certainly important, but I think that the biggest problem that the city has, or the biggest challenge that we have is a balanced budget. Moving forward, our expenses are going to increase as we start development of the city and as we increase our infrastructure, and also influenced by outside forces which we have no control over. And I think getting additional income in our tax base is probably the biggest challenge that we have. I think the roads are a problem. We certainly have quality issues with our roads, and we've been working on that ever since I've been on the council. And I think there's a fairly good consensus across the city as far as what we should be doing there. It's really a question of executing.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. John Bell.
Well, we have a lot of issues here in Corcoran, and it's hard to put one at the very top. But I can tell you from the people that I have had an opportunity to visit with, the taxes that we pay, the assessment fees, the lack of communication from the city council, there just seems to not be a transparency and a communication of the issues that we face. I talked with a young couple with 5 kids here about 3 weeks ago, and his greatest fear was that he was going to be taxed out. I mean, it's great to have programs and different things, but it all comes down to who's going to pay for it. Who's going to pay for it.
Great, thank you very much. The next question we will start with Mr. Ron Thomas, followed by Carolyn Holford, and then finished by John Bell. The question will be, continuing on, I heard talk about the roads, what resources might be available to help residents to pave the roads?
Well, the obvious resources that we have for the collector roads and the MSA roads is our MSA funds. In general, the only other resources that will be available, and that's a decision of the council, is whether we bond for road improvements and let the general population pay those expenses. I personally think that can make sense if we're talking about collector roads, because the collector roads are really a citywide problem that need to be corrected, as opposed to neighborhood roads, which are really a neighborhood problem. And if people bought a house in a neighborhood with a gravel road, that's what they expected when they moved in. And if they want to improve that to a pavement, they should be paying for that.
Yes, I totally understand that Minnesota state aid that we get, and those are for collector roads. However, those funds should be fully utilized each year as part of a comprehensive paving plan. The city roads that we have are maintained by the city. The city should be paying the majority of that cost, and then the citizens should pay their fair share. I think, like I said, not every neighborhood is going to want paved roads, and therefore we need to address that. So we can all figure out what we want for our community and continue from there. Thank you.
Well, this is a hot topic, the paving of roads. This is going to be one of the major differences between my platform and the other 2 platforms, whereas, I believe that the majority of the people in a specific area, when it pertains to roads, needs to be the authority. So when the majority comes and says, hey, we don't want this project to come through in force, we as a council need to honor that decision, because just like Carolyn said, there's going to be a fee. And your taxes most likely are going to go up because a tarred road typically increases the value of your property. So all of these things put together mean, again, who's going to pay for it and who is the decision maker, the council or the people?
Perfect. Next question. The order will start with Ms. Carolyn Holford, followed by Mr. John Dahl, and then finished by Mr. Ron Thomas. And it's continuing somewhat with the growth, and it is, what is your ideal growth strategy within the city? Is the urbanization of Corcoran inevitable, or would you prefer to hold our rural roots, and why? That was a mouthful.
Yeah, say that 3 times real fast.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Okay, let's see if I can. What is your ideal growth strategy? Is the urbanization of Corcoran inevitable, or would you prefer to hold to our rural roots? Why?
Thank you. Well, I believe that coming from Wisconsin, I've seen farmers not become farmers anymore. They've broken up their lands into plots, and I've seen this also in Minnesota. And I've also had a talk with someone just recently who would like to cut their property into either 5 acres or 10-acre lots. And I think this might be something that Corcoran is going to end up with, because farmers are not going to be farmers for very long. There's few of them. So that would probably be something that Corcoran is going to have to deal with eventually. Thanks.
Perfect. We have, go ahead.
Well, the growth strategy for me is, we've got it in our comprehensive plan. The future sewer areas in Corcoran are laid out for that. There's a time frame for that. I think for rural Corcoran, I don't think it has to be urbanized. It's not scheduled to be, or no thought of doing that for the near future. I believe that rural Corcoran will stay rural for at least for the next 50 years, even if we want to urbanize it. As far as the ability of the farmers and the large property owners in rural Corcoran to utilize their land, it's very difficult for them to farm now, and taxes and the cost of operation. It's not a very good solution for them. So I've been a strong advocate that we need to look at our building rights structure for Corcoran to allow people to do more development or more residential development in rural Corcoran.
This is one of those ones that's not going to be able to answer it in 60 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Development is inevitable. We are getting pushed from Plymouth. They can't go around us. They can't go over the top of us. And Minnesota as a whole, now for the 2nd year in a row, has had the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. People are flocking to Minnesota in droves because of the amount of jobs that are here. So growth, you better believe it. It's happening. It's inevitable. But, however, does that mean that we are at that point today? No. We're not there yet. And that brings me to a huge point that a lot of people have mentioned to me about putting the cart before the horse. We are spending a boatload of money, or planning to spend a boatload of money, when we don't need to. The developers and the investors will do most of that work when that time comes.
Perfect. For the next question, the order will be starting with Mr. John Dahl, followed by Mr. Ron Thomas, and then finish with Ms. Carolyn Holford. The city has 2 options expiring in 2017 and 2019 to purchase over 100 acres in the southeast corner of County Roads 19 and 10. The estimated cost is $1.8 million and $2.5 million to develop, not counting additional staff and equipment to manage and maintain. Do you support this project? Why or why not?
Well, my reoccurring theme, as you're going to hear over and over again tonight, is What do the people want? I mean, the people are the ones that are going to pay for this $3 million project? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. It's probably going to look more around $5 million to $6 million. And why would we be developing this great athletic center 6 miles from the center of Corcoran? Again, the backs of the people that are paying the taxes are already loaded up. And are we going to dump another $5-6 million onto their backs? Again, that's your decision. And if I'm elected mayor, I will do as the majority tells me to do. But I have some serious doubts that they want that because of the complaints that I've heard about our high taxes already.
Mr. Thomas?
Well, we have an option to purchase that land out there, and we took that out when we built the public works building. It was during a time when I wasn't on the council. I've been not an advocate of doing that purchase. In fact, I was an advocate that we re-engage the Parks and Trails Commission to look at other options for a large park complex. I'm not in favor of doing a big development project for the Parks and Trails until we've increased our tax base significantly. However, I think we should look at the options of purchasing land now while it's still fairly inexpensive for future use, but we're not ready to do that right now. At least I'm not ready to do that right now. I think it's a few years off before we do it.
And Ms. Carolyn Holford?
Well, for me, I've heard several people 2 years ago and this time around, and the answer is no, no, no.
Okay. Well, in the next question, the order, we will start with you, Ms. Carolyn Holford, and then go with Mr. John Dahl, and then finish with Mr. Ron Thomas. And in the theme of listening to the constituents, how will you handle citizen complaint or suggestion directed to you regarding a city policy or operation?
Well, I experienced it 2 years ago going door to door, and I really enjoyed meeting people one-on-one. I do have an idea about having kind of a customer's bill of rights. When you complain, it should go to the appropriate people or department. We used to handle that during when I worked for the Department of Transportation. It was called a complaint and request form. And what it is that we would be able to listen to whatever issues that you had, and then try and resolve them with you and see if that was something that was what you had in mind. So I think there's that communication, especially when it comes down to you knowing your rights as residents.
Yes, of course. How will you handle a citizen complaint or suggestion directed to you regarding a city policy or operation?
Great, love that question. If I'm elected mayor, I'm going to have an open door policy. And during the open forums and the council meetings, I understand that there has been issues about not being able to communicate and not being able to have a voice. And then on the other side of the table say, well, we don't want to get crazy in there. I think there is a medium in between there. And it all starts with the head. You can maintain a controlled environment in that setting, but still allow people to talk during the meeting if they have something specific to say about a project or anything else. And I think the important thing is to be able to recognize them during the meeting, to say we recognize this individual, they come up to the podium and have their say and then sit down. But the main thing is being able to communicate your thoughts, your ideas, your views to us, even if that's a complaint. And I can tell you, I will allow anyone's complaints against me. I'm not perfect. Oh, stop sign, sorry.
You? Okay. Mr. Ron Thomas.
Well, I guess I feel that the city has been pretty good as far as looking at complaints and addressing them. I think one of the places we've fallen short is in giving citizens feedback on the results of it. I can think of a few instances where I've had people call me about something or discuss something with me, and I've followed up with staff on that. And we've done the best we can, but in a lot of cases, the city just is powerless to take care of some of these things. But we haven't communicated that back to the citizens, so there's been some frustration. I think communication has been a problem, it is a problem. I think we need to get better at that. I think we do good at providing services. I don't think we do the best job at communicating. One of the other things I would do is, as mayors, I would have regular office hours where I would be up in the office at City Hall for people to come in and discuss things and do follow-up on problems.
Perfect. And actually, I'm going to do a follow-up question. It will be in exactly the same order. It will be 30 seconds in regards to communication. How could you use technology to better communicate with our citizens? And the order previously was Ms. Carolyn, then with Mr. John, and then Mr. Ron.
Well, I believe that if we were to do as we're doing now and recording, and I think YouTube is one of the newest things that are being used quite readily. I know there's emails that we've used in the past, and not everyone has access to them. I think that you've done a pretty good job as far as with the city council now, having those recordings available on the website. Some people are just not technologically advanced or even interested. So I think we still need to keep in mind that people still like letters and getting their mail that way. So, and the newspaper. Thank you.
Well, we have a vastly different, population, shall we say. There are some individuals that don't have portable phones. They still have their landlines. They don't have computers. Then there's it's 30 seconds. We got to do as much as we can, no matter what type, whether it's advanced communication or letters, so that we get the message out to all of the individuals.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yes, of course. How could you use, how could you use technology to better communicate with our citizens?
Well, the use of technology, I think, is as Mr. Ball said, the challenge is we have a pretty broad spectrum of technologists in the city. So I think using our website, I think we're doing a pretty good job with that right now. I believe that we've improved our newsletter, so it's not a technology solution, but I think it's a very effective solution. We do 4 a year now, and I think it's a very, very good letter. Staff does an excellent job with that.
Perfect, thank you. For the next question, we'll go back to 1 minute. It will be the order of Mr. Ron Thomas, then with Ms. Carolyn Holford, and then with Mr. John Dahl. Let's talk about housing. What do you think the city can or should do to provide affordable housing for residents?
Well, I think that in order to get affordable housing, I think we need to have obviously we need to get residential developers in here, and it's most likely going to have to happen in the Rockford School District, because that's where the sewer is available right now. And we've had a couple of developers come in and propose developments there. They've fallen through. Part of it is because of the Rockford School District, and I think we as a city need to be more proactive in encouraging these developers to come in those areas, those specific areas, with that goal in mind, to get both affordable housing and life cycle housing. Right now, we don't have housing that our kids can move into, and we don't have housing that our older people can move into, and we need to change that. And we do have the opportunity to do that now with this advent of sewer in the city. So at least have an option to do it.
Well, for me, I believe, and I've heard from other people, that that type of development would be something probably 5 years down the road. They aren't really interested in much of that. We'd like to keep it low, and I think that's what I've heard from other residents. Thanks.
Well, I agree with Ron as well. I mean, because of the Rockford School District, but also, we're just not there yet as a community to have that type of development here. Down the road, possibly, but right now, we're just not there. The developers are, it's not going to work for them, you know, again, a couple of years down the road, 5, 10 years, maybe, but we're just not there yet.
Okay, perfect. Next question, we will start with Mr. John Dahl, followed by Mr. Ron Thomas, and then finishing with Ms. Carolyn Holford. Do you have any plans to add more public lands such as parks or wildlife management areas within Corcoran?
No.
I have no plans, but it would be obviously a council action. As we spoke about earlier, we have the option to purchase that land out by Conroe 19. I'm not in favor of that, but I am in favor of, and the council has directed the Parks and Trails group to survey and look for opportunities and to come back with proposals. And my approach to it would be that we would fund that through the Parks and Trails funds that we have available.
Great question. I believe that I've heard from several residents about this, and it depends on where it is and what the people in the area want. I'm not sure if that would be something right now that we need, but it is something that we could talk about in different neighborhoods.
So the next question then, it will be, the order will start with Ms. Carolyn Holford, followed by Mr. John Dahl, and then finishing by Mr. Ron Thomas. What experience do you have in the management of personnel and budgets, and how can that apply to your work as mayor?
Thank you. Yes, I have a degree in transportation management, and I've also had architectural technology education. I have been in a nonprofit organization, and that, as anyone would know, it's hard to gather funds. It's not one of those popular things that people contribute to a lot. So it does take a lot of management to get out there and speak with people and get people to be aware of the things that we need as nonprofit organizations. So it's, I believe, something that we can do for Corcoran. Thanks.
Well, I was in the hotel business for 28 years, and during that time, I can tell you, I have vast experience because of that time in the hotel business.